Hi folks, welcome to Jimbo's Kitchen. Welcome to my house. This is my kitchen. My name is Jimbo Snyder, and I'm a retired restaurant manager of 40 years. That's kind of a long time to be in the restaurant business, and I've learned a few things over those years, and I'd like to teach some of those things I've learned to you. Hope you find it interesting and found it helpful for you. I'd like to see that your kitchen, you can operate it a little bit, maybe a little bit easier, have some fun in it. I got some recipes that I've come up with along the way. Today we're going to have a little know-how on knives. Knives is probably the most important equipment you've got in your kitchen, and maybe it'll teach you a few things about knives, and you might make it easy on yourself. One thing about knives, I've been in a lot of kitchens in my career, and in every single one of them, the knives are dull. I've had to sharpen knives all my career, and I don't understand why people have dull knives. It just amazes me. I've got a series of knives here. I'll go through and show them to you, but I found something to sharpen. I went to Walmart, and I was happened to be in the sporting goods section where all the rods and reels are. I found this. It has a cross steel pieces here and cross ceramic pieces here. It's made for fishermen. It's even got a place to cut your line. Got a place over here to sharpen your hooks. You just hold it like this, and this is one of the best knife sharpeners I've found. It's simple, it's easy, it's $5. That's all it is, it's Walmart. So when I go to sharpen a knife, I just put it down like this, just run it through here about 10 times, and it'll sharpen your knife. I'll go through some of these later on, show you how to test your knives and make sure it's sharp. Right now, let's talk about knives. Every time I think about knives, I think about the movie, Crocodile Dundee. And this fella is sticking him up. He says, take me a knife. This is the holdup. I've got a knife. And he looks at him. He pulls his knife out and he says, this is a knife. Well, in the kitchen business, this is a knife. So this puppy, you will never need to buy anything like this. I bought these back in the 60s when I was at Cornell, and we were learning how to cut steaks. And this is what you cut out of. You get a loin, like a ribeye loin, a whole loin, and you use this to cut steaks. Well, this is sharp from the tip all the way back to here. And you slice this way, it'll go down, and if you slice back, you've gone through a loin that could be that big around. So this is what we cut steaks out in the old days. Of course, now you can use a slicer a lot of different ways. But just to show you what this little sharpener will do, and to show you what you need to do is to find out if your knives are sharp. This is regular copy paper. Take it and run your knives over the edge like that, and if you can cut it, I don't know if you can see this, without tearing, you just cut it without tearing it, then you know you got a sharp knife. Now, I'm not going to go and show you all these are sharp, because they are, but that's just thought you'd be interested in seeing how we used to cut steaks in the restaurant business. There are two different kind of knives you'll find out there. We have a stainless steel knife, and then we have this kind of knife. Now this is high carbon steel. This is obviously a stainless steel, but this is also high carbon. Now I can sharpen this, but a stainless steel knife will never hold an edge like one of these. You can't buy one of these today. Everybody thinks this is the knife to have. Actually, this is the knife you want to have. The high carbon stainless steel knives, they really hold their edge. Excuse me. If you have to, when you go shopping for a knife, They're expensive. I'll guarantee you that. This is a Henkel knife. Henkel, something like that. There's also Dexter. Sheffield, England makes knives. The Japanese have good knives. As a matter of fact, they call it a Chinese chef knife. Came from Japan. They use them too. This is super sharp. I use this. I can cut down a chicken. Cut a chicken down. I can do that in no time flat with this puppy. And this knife, the difference between a stainless steel and a high carbon stainless steel and high carbon steel, this will hold an edge. I mean, you won't have to sharpen these very often, and to sharpen them, you just go through it several times and it'll sharpen it. This one, you got to work at it. These lose their edge faster than these do. Don't get me wrong, these are good knives. You want high carbon stainless steel. High carbon, that's the trick. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an expensive knife, although if you go to a store and ask them, I want to see your high carbon stainless steel knife, they'll bring out one of these and test it while they're standing there. Test it and say, well, is it sharp? They say, oh yeah, it's sharp. Tell them to get you a piece of paper and see if you can, and if you can't cut it without tearing it, it ain't sharp. So that shows your knowledge. This knife used to be a 12-inch blade, which come out about like that. I had a cook that popped it, went to open a can. I thought, isn't that stupid, taking a knife to open a can? Anyway, it broke, and I was very perturbed at the cook, but there wasn't anything I could do about it, so I kept it for years and years and years. It stayed in the drawer. I took it out about a year or so ago, and actually it works out really good. I can scrape everything right into the pot, into the pan, into the garbage can, whatever I need to do. And it really cleans up my cutting board really good. So it turned out to be a good tool. This is a boning knife. Yes, one of my cooks broke the tip off. What do you want now? There's good boning knives and bad boning knives. A boning knife, when you put it on the cutting board, you should be able to bend that knife. Let me show you, see if I can show it to you a little easier. You want that knife to bend. See, can you see that bend like that? And the reason is a boning knife is what it said. It's to fillet and debone a piece of meat, and this is the easiest way you can get it around that meat. You know, for whatever reason, you want to fillet something that's got a bone in it, you fillet it out, you know, stuff like that. This is a roast beef slicer. You'll see a lot of these around. If it isn't sharp, it's just not going to do any good at all. You might as well throw it away. But if it's sharp, this is what you see at the dinner table and people are cutting turkey, which you don't see it anymore. But if you got like something from a grocery store and it's like a ham, you know, a buffet ham, what we call buffet ham, and you want to make sandwiches out of it, instead of buying it pre-sliced, you can take this and you can cut it really thin for sandwiches. And that's what the roast beef slicer is all about. And it's got a long blade and it's thin, so that you can. You don't have to go like that. You can just go long strokes, and you can cut through and you can cut it thin. So I recommend you have a roast beef slicer. I recommend you have a chef's knife. Now, this is a 14-inch chef. That's about that's a 12-inch. I think the other one must have been this is a 10-inch. This is a 12-inch. This is a 10-inch. Anyway, you want at least a 10-inch. I wouldn't buy a 12. This is pretty big. Most women would look at it and be intimidated. Later on in our video, I'll show you how you can use it and stuff like that. But the reason they call it chef's knives It was really a chef's knife or a vegetable knife, as opposed to, I don't know, meat knife, I don't know. Anyway, that's just what we call them. This, you notice how it's shaped like this. Well, we use this part of the knife to peel a knife, to peel a fruit, to peel a tomato or something like that. That just breaks the skin so we can get down to the pulp. Then, of course, this side, we don't ever do this. We don't usually do this. What we do is it's used for basic chopping, and it's to be used like it's the point never leaves the cutting board, just like that. And just use a movement like that. Now, if you went to chef school, they would tell you to hold it on the blade like this. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I find it, you know, you hold it on the blade, you can handle any knife. You can handle this knife, or you can handle this knife, and it's easier to operate. Okay, that's enough about knives now. The sister to a knife is a cutting board. If the knife's a brother, this is the sister. This cutting board is made out of I don't know what you call it, some kind of composite material. It's 15 by 20 inches. I suggest everyone have a cutting board this big. If you can't find one in a grocery store, and if you're in any town of any size, you can have a restaurant supply house. And if you can't, you can probably go online, maybe Amazon has them, I haven't checked, but anyway, you want something that's a qualified restaurant cutting board, 15 by 20. This is the best size I've found. And the reason you want a nice size cutting board is you got plenty of room to work. I mean, I've seen most women in their kitchen, they have these little rinky-dink cutting boards. I mean, they're up there just, you know, cutting a little bit and it's falling off, and they have to pick back up, put back on, or they're scared it's going to fall off, so they're real careful. Let's talk about this. I can take 2 ounces of walnuts and pecans, I can put them on here, and I can chop them up in no time flat. So, a big cutting board is the best that I can find. And another thing, the stuff just doesn't run off everywhere. So, if you were to buy a cutting board, and another thing, if you don't like sitting on I have 2 cutting stations. I have one over here and one here. Now, this is a big island, and I do a lot of cooking, so I need 2 stations. But if you can take this and just store it in your cabinet like this, it takes up very little space. So I leave mine out all the time. It's a great way to, when I go to cook or something like that, I don't have to worry about finding something or stuff like that. I put it right here. My knives are right here in the corner, so it doesn't take me far to pick them up, come over and find them. So that's all I got to say about knives. If you got any comments, anything, leave them below. My Facebook page is Jimbo Snyder Know-How, Jimbo's Kitchen, Know-How, etc. That's it. Jimbo's Kitchen, Know-How, etc. So come see me on my Facebook page. I post some recipes on there and some other information for you. So y'all have a great day and come back to see me.